Well, welcome everyone. This is Jeannie White for Passionate Talk, Real Talk Radio. And today, Wine and Cheese has an event, and I'm going to welcome Sheila Wilson.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Sheila Wilson. I'm a registered nurse and president of Stop Healthcare Violence. And I am a host of Wine and Cheese on Passionate World Talk Radio. CEO is Lillian Caldwell, and station manager is Jeannie White. In this episode of Wine and Cheese, we will be discussing the benefits of EFT, which means Emotional Freedom Techniques. Before I introduce her, I would like to remind the listeners that Stop Healthcare Violence is very concerned about the violence that the nurses and the other healthcare providers endure as they work. Also, during the pandemic, the nurses and healthcare providers haven't had the appropriate personnel protective equipment to protect themselves while taking care of their patients. We at Stop Healthcare Violence are trying to assist with the issue that could show up, like PTSD, depression, and even suicide. From doing all of this, they're being assaulted as healthcare workers and being abused without their proper protective gear. One more thing. Nurses have had to wear masks that have been sterilized with chemicals for months. I just want to add possible lung disease in the future. Now I would like to introduce my guest, Amy Smith. Maybe you could wave.
Hello.
Let people know. Lorraine Brennan, another nurse. Betsy Wurtzel, and she's Kick Alzheimer's S Movement. Is that correct, Betsy?
Yes.
Okay. And our instructor is Betty Ann Lauria, certified and accredited. Her site is Mariposa. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. EFT, to show us about tapping and better known as EFT. Welcome. And tell us about the EFT, Betty Ann. It's your show right now.
Oh boy. Thank you. I'm really pleased to be back and to explain EFT to you. I guess I'll be repeating some of the things I've already said, but as you said, Sheila, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And many people just know it as tapping, but it's different from some tapping that you may have heard, like in a Qigong class where they tap along the meridians. With EFT, you're tapping on meridian endpoints. Well, let me just talk about meridians for a moment because not everyone knows what they are, but they are energy channels that run on both sides of the body, and they are connected to all the organs and systems in our bodies. So, for example, the lung meridian starts around here and it goes down the body, but when we're tapping, we only need to tap on one point of it. These points along the meridian channels are electromagnetic points. And so when we tap on them, they send an electromagnetic signal to the amygdala in the brain. The amygdala is the organ that controls the emotions. And so when we, and it also is responsible for setting the whole fight or flight response in our bodies in motion and getting cortisol pumped out and adrenaline and all those other great things that we need when we're in a serious danger and have to run from something or fight someone, God forbid. But in today's society, our bodies haven't really caught up with this world we live in, which, let's face it, is filled with terrors and stresses, and 2020 has just been an apex of a lot of things to worry about for all of us. But the body thinks it will translate these stresses as real and present danger, and so your cortisol is getting pumped out, but it's not being used. So when we tap on meridian endpoints, and they're here, and they're here, and along here, and under the top of the head, we send a signal to the brain that says, oh, you know, this situation does not call for this. Calms us down. It relieves pain when you do this, and it relieves the pressure around a situation that was previously giving you a really hard way to go stress-wise. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask me right now, or should I just continue? I'm trying to see what else I haven't said. When I'm talking one-on-one with a client, we're usually talking about a specific problem for that one person. And the more specific, is there somebody's phone on or something? I hear
An echo?
yeah, or someone getting a message, or maybe it's me. Maybe it's my echo.
It might
Oh,
be it.
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, coming from your area a little bit, yeah.
I'm getting an echo myself. Wow, once is enough, right? Anyway, when you're talking with a client, I try to get as many specific words from the person as I can, because when we use your words, it works better. And the more specific, the better it is. You can start with a general topic, which we'll do tonight to kind of demonstrate. But it works better if you have your own specific language to add to it, your own specific situation that's causing you stress. So that's basically it. Does anyone have any questions for me, or anyone
Jay,
want to know more about?
Are you going to pick somebody, or can we all do it, or
Yeah,
how does this work?
what I thought we could do was maybe pick something like being overwhelmed. Is that something that we all experience? I think, I'm feeling overwhelmed these days because just as an example, last night watching 60 Minutes and hearing about how the fires in California are just going to get worse and worse, and he predicted this back in the 90s, this scientist. I got totally stressed out just by listening to how much worse it is than he ever thought it was going to be. And that's just one example. And all of you are dealing with the pandemic on a daily basis. We're hearing, we're hearing the news about it, and the numbers going up and down and not knowing who to believe. But you guys are on the front lines, and you must be feeling pretty overwhelmed most of the time. So what I would suggest is that we think about what's overwhelming us and start tapping around on that. And anyone who's listening or watching, I should say, they can do the same. Do you want to try it?
Sure.
Yes, I think that would be awesome.
Okay, so I was just wondering, does everyone have some water handy? Because the other thing that when you're working on energy body, really helps to be sipping on water while we're doing it, because the body is energetic, it's electric, and we all know water is a great electric conductor. So anyway, what we could do, I'll just explain a little bit about tapping. What happens is when you start to tap, we use language that we tell the truth about how we're feeling. Some people think that sounds a little negative, but it really isn't, because what we're doing is we're highlighting how you're feeling right now. And that's when you can release it. When you talk about something that's bothering you, you can't sugarcoat it and get right to those lovely positive affirmations right away. We have to kind of tell the truth about how we're feeling. And then there's a shift. Normally, when I'm working with someone one-on-one, I can see the shift. They have a different attitude about the issue. Maybe all of a sudden, maybe an idea comes to them about, whoa, this is something I hadn't thought of doing. Then we can start to turn it and start with the more positive affirmations. So I'll be doing that turn for all of us. Also, when we tap, we are reaching our subconscious. So as we're tapping, you may get some thoughts and feelings. You may have memories of something you haven't thought about in a while. Those are not just random thoughts. That's your subconscious talking to you and giving you hints as to where this may have started, this feeling of overwhelm. Why is this triggering me right now? Well, maybe it's something that happened when you were a child, or maybe it's something that your parents said to you all the time. Well, you've got to be strong. Whatever those little phrases that parents love to use, that get stuck in our subconscious, and it really kind of sets the stage for us for our whole lives if we don't pay attention to them. So all I'm saying is, while we're tapping, try and remember those things that come to you, and you might want to tap on them yourself. or add them to your own tapping while we're tapping. Because you can all repeat after me if you want, or you could just say it in your head. And that's the other thing I want to say. If you want to change any of the words while I'm tapping, go right ahead. Because we want those words to work for you. It'll make more sense when we start. So why don't we just, first of all, everybody take a deep breath. And exhale slowly. And take another deep breath. Okay. Exhale. All right. And what I'd like you to do is say to yourself, or you could say out loud, I am so overwhelmed.
I'm so
So overwhelmed.
Okay, great. And when you say that, how intense does it feel? How overwhelmed are you? Try and give a number to it from 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense. And don't worry too much about the number. Whatever comes to your head is probably the number. And if you can jot it down, great. If not, you can just try and remember it. And also, I want you to think about being overwhelmed and scan your body. Just feel like thinking about what's making you overwhelmed right now. Think about the things that really make you feel that way. And scan your body. And where are you feeling it in your body right now? You could be feeling it in your head, maybe your shoulders, maybe your solar plexus, maybe your stomach. You know, our body talks to us all the time, and we usually ignore those signals. If you're not feeling it anywhere in your body now, don't worry, but pay attention to anything that you might feel as we're tapping, because the body does speak to us, as I said, and it's their message. The message of the body is very important. Okay, so what I'd like you to do while we're tapping is think about these things. Think about the situation that puts you in that space of feeling overwhelmed. Think about the body parts. And remember that you can change the language that I'm going to use with something that makes more sense to you. So if you want to repeat it in your head instead of out loud, that's okay with me. And I'm going to try and show you all the points. EFT is very forgiving. If you don't get the exact spot, it's okay. You're still going to get it, okay? I'll just run through them really quickly. The first thing that we do is we tap along the side of the hand. It doesn't matter which hand. You can do either hand with about 3 fingers. And we call this the karate chop point because if you were breaking a board, that's where you'd be tapping. So when we tap along here, we do a setup statement, which I'll show you in a minute, and we repeat it. We usually do the setup statement 3 times. Then when we start the round of tapping, we tap along the eyebrow point, which is where the eyebrow and the bridge of the nose meet. Then sliding along the eyebrow to the side of the eye. I'm going to take off my glasses so you can see right now. The side of the eye. Then the next point is under the eye. And you don't have to memorize this because you'll be watching me. So it's okay. The next point is right under the nose. It's between the nose and the lip. And the next point is the chin. It's in the crease there. The next point is the collarbone point. Now, a lot of people just do this if you worry about where exactly to go. But if you find the U here, you can just go down and to one side and feel like a little indentation. And many people use both hands here. And you can use both hands on all of these points. It's a little hard here and here. Totally up to you. The next point is under the arm, which I do this. It's about 4 inches below your armpit. I do it like this, but a lot of people do it like this. Okay. And the last point is the top of the head, which in the Chinese philosophy is the Dai Hui, which is the opening to the spirit. But it's also another meridian, meridian endpoint. So those are the points. And as I said, I'll be doing them along with you. And why don't we just take another deep breath and find that place of overwhelm again? What's making you overwhelmed? Thinking about that while we tap. And where am I feeling it in my body? So, tapping on the side of the hand, we're doing this setup statement. Even though I'm feeling so overwhelmed,
Even though I'm feeling so overwhelmed,
I deeply love and accept myself.
I
I
deeply love and accept myself.
myself.
Now, some people have trouble sometimes saying, I love myself.
Mm.
That's something to tap on too. But we don't have to say that. If that makes you uncomfortable, you can say, I accept myself and how I feel. So maybe I'll just use that one, and you can choose the one that you want to use in your own mind, okay? And even though this overwhelm is weighing me down,
Even
Even
though
though it's overwhelmed, it's weighing me down.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I
I
accept
accept myself and how I
feel.
feel.
And even though
Even though
And
I
even
feel
though
so responsible for everything,
I feel so responsible for everything,
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Okay, great. Starting on the eyebrow point, this overwhelm,
It's overwhelmed.
side of the eye, it's weighing me down.
It's weighing me down.
wearing me down.
Under the eye, I'm feeling it in my body.
I'm feeling it in my body.
Nose, there's so much to do.
There's so much to do.
Chin, and they're just giving me more.
And
And
it's
I'm just gonna
Collarbone, I'm feeling so pressured.
I'm feeling
so pressured
Under the arm, and so overwhelmed.
and so overwhelmed.
Top of the head, I just can't do it all.
I just can't do it all.
Eyebrow point, if I don't do it all, who will?
If I don't do it all, who will?
Side of the eye, it's weighing me down.
It's
It's
wearing
weighing me down.
Under the eye, I feel so responsible.
I feel so
I feel
responsible.
Nose, it's a weight on my shoulders.
It's a weight on my shoulders.
Chin, so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
Collarbone, all this responsibility.
All this responsibility.
Under the arm, why does it have to be me?
Why does it have to be me?
Top of the head, so much to do, so little time.
So much to do, so little time.
Eyebrow point, what if I could feel calmer?
What
I'd like
if
to
I
feel
could feel
calm.
Side of the eye, I'm so overwhelmed.
I'm so overwhelmed.
so
Under the eye, feeling weighed down.
Feeling
weighed
down.
Nose, part of me wants to give up.
Part of me wants to give up.
Chin, part of me wants to find a better way.
Part of me wants to find a better way.
Collarbone, I can choose to feel calmer.
Okay.
I can do to feel calm.
Under the arm, what if I can release some of this pressure on me?
What if I can release some of this pressure on me?
Top of the head, I'm willing to try.
I'm willing to try.
Eyebrow point, this overwhelm.
Overwhelmed.
Side of the eye, all this pressure.
All this pressure.
Under the eye, maybe I can release some.
Maybe
I can release some.
Nose, I'm willing to try to release some of the pressure.
I'm willing
I'm
to try.
willing to try to release some of the pressure.
Chin, I'll do a better job if I do.
I'll do
I'll do a
better.
better job if I do.
And, sorry, collarbone. Releasing all this pressure.
Releasing all this pressure.
Releasing some of this weighed down feeling.
Releasing some of this way down feeling.
Releasing the pressure from my body and my mind.
Releasing the pressure from my body and my mind.
Okay, take a deep breath. So what I would do now with a client is just get them to scan their body. Think about the situation that makes you the most overwhelmed. Just kind of picture yourself there. And see how you feel now when you think about it. Just try and remember what that number was of intensity of overwhelm before the tapping and what it is now. See if it's gone down at all. See if, ask yourself if anything came up while you were tapping. Was there a specific, another situation that came up that's bothering you that might be another good place to tap about next? Or maybe you felt it in a different place in your body. Because what happens when we start to tap on something, sometimes it flares a little bit just because you brought it to the surface and then it calms down later. And as I said, sometimes we get other ideas of what to tap on next. So that's it. Does anyone want to share what you experienced during this tapping?
Well, I will, because I've been very stressful the last few hours, but since I did this, it brought the level down to at least a 5 for me. So I
That's
feel like I'm
wonderful.
much more able to concentrate a little better now if I go on to do any work after this.
That's great.
Really good, because I was really like, ah.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad I helped a little.
It worked. I've done this before and I like it. It does work.
It does.
does. Yeah.
Did anyone else have anything they wanted to share? Anything that came up that surprised you?
Kind of like a meditation. It just kind of keeps you busy because you're tapping. And then you try to think about what it is that you're trying to focus on. So it kind of keeps your mind from wandering.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It kind of keeps you right with it.
Yeah.
Is there a working method for that?
Is there
a working method? This year with COVID is the first time I have ever, in a working environment, experienced anxiety. I've always been very good. That's what made me okay in the emergency room, is that I could get through it and be fine, always. And then afterwards, maybe you have a moment, maybe you don't. You chat it out, what have you. I find myself in a major room, and sometimes it's just very distracting to be in all that gear and to almost feel like you're in a different room, like you're not participating.
So saying what can you do, like right in the moment of feeling that?
Yes. This brought me from like a 4 down to like I feel like myself again.
Oh, that's great.
Which is great.
Yeah. You could just tap on your collarbone point and no one would see you doing that really.
Right.
And it's the kind of thing that, people might do anyway, just kind of like stand that way. You can do that. Another thing is there's some points along the wrist, right along here, that you can tap here.
Okay.
And also here. It's in between these 2 fingers here.
The small finger.
And so you could almost be holding your hand and just tapping on your wrist and on the back and just saying what is really bothering you right now in your mind. I know you can't say it out loud. You could even, there's something called, if something's making you really angry, you could do a little rant in your head about what's really getting you angry right now. And while you're tapping. The key is to talk and tap or think and tap, because as you said, Lori, the combination really gets you focused and then dissipates. It focuses you on what's really bothering you, and then it dissipates. It's really an amazing process. So yeah, you could just focus on one point and it would help.
It would.
Some people say, and I believe this probably happens, that you could think about the point and not even tap it.
Yeah.
And try that you can try it, right? Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, people have tapped on, there's something called surrogate tapping where you could tap for someone that's not in the room with you.
Really?
A lot of
That's
experiments have been done with that, yeah. And people have even tapped on their pets and it's worked. So yeah, it's interesting. But I know when you're in the middle of, like sometimes if I'm in the car and I'm very upset about something, I don't want to be sitting here like this, you know. It's bad enough that people think you're talking to yourself when you have your phone on or something. So I might just sit there and tap on my collarbone point. That's one of my favorite points for me. That really brings me where I want to be. Brings me back to myself, as you said, Amy. And so you might want to find the point that does that for you. It might be your wrist here, or your fingers, or it might be under your arm. I don't know. Experiment. That's such a great question. Thank you for asking that. Does anyone have any other questions? Do we all feel calmer now? I know I do. I was nervous.
I do.
I know I do. I feel much better. Really,
great.
it's even for a few moments, it gives you I have more clarity when I do sometimes these like chanting or yoga or EFT. It brings more clarity to the brain.
It does. It does. And one of the reasons is because it's bringing anything that goes across the body too, brings the two sides of the brain together. I'm so glad that people are starting to learn more about the energy systems of the body and how they can help us so much.
Yeah.
I mean, this technique, the tapping has been around since the 70s. Gary Craig was the person who started doing it. And then I learned about it from the Ortners, Nick and Jessica Ortner, who have a foundation. They work with people in the schools. They work with Rwanda victims. But they had a summit, a tapping summit, and I was listening to it, and I just became so captivated with it because I found that it worked on myself, and I had just been listening to a summit online, and I tried it, and it worked on me, and that's when I got interested in it, and I got trained by a woman named Betty Moore Hafter. She's my mentor, and she's with EFT International. They used to have a longer name. They used to be called AMET, which stands for, I wrote it down because I can never remember, Meridian Energy Techniques. The A, the Association for Meridian Energy Techniques. But they've been around for a while too, and they're an international organization. And you could go online and listen to some of their tapping meditations. The Ortners have, as you said, Lori, it's like a meditation. The Ortners have a lot of tapping meditations online that you could listen to as well. But I think having a practitioner to work with when you have a deeper issue or something you really want to work on for a while is really the way to go, because it's like peeling away layers. You think you want to tap about one thing, and then you start tapping, and all these other things start coming up, and memories, and things that are still bothering you that you thought you had forgotten about. It's really quite amazing what we have stored in our subconscious minds.
Right.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. And I remember, Betty, when I was doing your blog, I was listening to the audio and you were talking about the Veterans Project and how they're using it for PTSD.
Yes, they are. Thankfully.
Yeah.
Because the research is showing that it really works now, so people are paying attention.
Yeah. Because as when I was going to yoga classes and being certified, they always talked about the meridian points and how valuable they were. Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sometimes people they have a feeling that something so simple can work. Do you know what I mean? They don't always have that expectation that it's really going to work, when in actuality it does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes it works and people will not, recognize that it worked because it's so subtle and it's so gentle.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even realize it until maybe the next day. And it's like, hey, you know what? That pain in my knee has been gone for a while. Hey, that worked.
Yeah.
Because it does work on pain. It's really good technique for pain. I've used it myself for some headaches. I don't get headaches. And one time I got this terrible a migraine headache, which is really unusual for me. And I started tapping, following my own medicine, and really really got to some interesting things that
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't cure things, but it just helps to eliminate a situation for you. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it did eventually eliminate the pain. It was gone. And when it's still there a little bit, you haven't done it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cleaned out. Yeah.
Finish it. What else is there? What direction do we need to go in now? It's like chasing the pain a little bit. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you do tapping more than once a day or once a
Oh,
week?
you can tap all the time. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, they recommend, as soon as you feel stressed about something, tap about it, because then it won't get stuck in your body. Because that's what happens. We get these stresses, they get stuck there if we don't deal with them right away. So the next time somebody says something that really ticks you off, you walk around the emergency room. You're doing one of those, off-color hand gestures or something.
I can see Amy in the ER.
Right? And the clinicians are reaching out
That
to
would be
Sheila.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Right. But a lot of people know about this now. So someone might come up and say, "Hey, are you
Hey, what are
tapping?"
you tapping?
Yeah.
I was surprised it was so gentle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very gentle. I mean, that's one of the best things about it. There's no side effects, and it is very gentle, and it's good for children who are, maybe worried about a test or going to school, or especially now, kids in school now, how scared they must be. Little ones, the ones that are going into school and not doing the remote. There's so much that we need to de-stress about today.
Would you use it with young children?
Yeah. Mhm. I haven't personally used it with young children, but I know it has been. The Ortners have a foundation. They work with the children who are suffering from PTSD from Newtown and the shooting there. They've worked with those families and children to great success, and they have a foundation for that. And they worked with the children that after the massacres in Rwanda. And just general de-stressors for kids in school today. I mean, even before the pandemic, kids have so much to be stressed about. They have this influx of information and media on those stupid phones. I mean, we can't live without them, but kids aren't really ready for them, I don't think. And they're, as a teacher, I noticed how stressed out they were all the time, because they would hear about something that somebody said about them right there and then in school, not whispering in the hall, but they get a flood of emails or texts from somebody and find out in real time what's going on. And how could they focus on school when stuff like that's going on, or when their parents are calling them all day long?
Yeah.
So it's a whole different world we live in now. It's just filled with stressors, and EFT is one way to manage that. Very effective.
Gives you something productive to do.
Yeah.
Because there's this need for this immediate gratification. The kids, if they don't get a response in a minute, it must mean the person doesn't want to speak to them for some reason. Maybe they're eating their meal or living their life, and their phone isn't attached to them. But God forbid that happens. And it's
Right.
to tap and kind of alleviate that anxiety.
Yes, it's a great tool for everybody, and kids. Yeah.
Has anybody ever looked at it like, a movement like autistic kids have, the rocking back and forth or whatever, or adults that are mentally challenged? It's almost, does the movement kind of mimic the fact, almost like the tapping to relax you?
Wow, I don't know about anyone.
I was just thinking of that, like the Good Doctor or somebody like, how they move. There's a guy that was on Big Brother, and he rocks in his chair all the time. And I'm just wondering if it's
I wonder if tapping.
if that's almost a technique for them to relax, or if
is
it similar to because you're using the tapping motion too.
That's a wonderful idea, because they do have things that help kids with autism now to do some sort of behavioral mod or
Well, you even see adults that are challenged and they might rock back and forth or have a certain movement. And I'm just kind of wondering if that's their way of relaxing about things or,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, or is it kind of,
That's their way of calming down, Sheila. When someone
yeah,
who's autistic and they
yeah,
had that rock, or sometimes
yeah,
their hand flapping,
yeah,
that's their
yeah,
own way of calming down. Mhm.
yeah, very similar to like what we're doing with tapping. And
I wonder if they could be taught to tap. I never even thought of that.
yeah,
That's
I'm just wondering if the motion of it is like
yeah.
tapping almost, it's kind of the same effect.
Wow. I'm gonna look
That's
into
very interesting.
It's a
Yeah,
wonderful.
I don't know why it popped in my head, but
All right.
it's just that movement,
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea. There was a whole segment on 60 Minutes last night about autism as well.
Yeah.
And wow, that's a great idea. I love that.
I think sometimes it's from the medication they're on, but
Oh,
I'm just wondering if they're not, if it's kind of just an automatic response to calm down and relax.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
But with the children with attention deficit, there's so many now that are out there, but when my kids were growing up and even when I was younger, it was called curiosity.
Yeah.
So they are medicated. And it's like all of, this super active child now with medication is just kind of calm.
Yeah.
But what's it doing to the brain cells?
Mm.
I'm not sure about any of that, but
I know.
this was a great show.
Well,
Anybody have any more comments or questions for Betty Ann?
Oh, it's very interesting, Betty Ann. Thank you.
Well,
You
thank
have a question,
for
Betsy?
listening.
Yes, I suffer from migraines. Do I tap the same way, or is there a different way to tap for migraines?
There's not a different way per se, unless you're feeling. Would you feel pain if you tapped on your head during migraine?
It's possible.
Because if that was uncomfortable for you, then I would say just use here, the collarbone, and you could skip this. You could skip the top of the head if you want, and then maybe add the wrist
Mhm.
to it,
Okay.
and this point back here. But stay away from around here because that could, I'm just depending on your pain level. If you can stand it, I would do it. Or the other thing is you could massage it. If that makes you feel better, you can massage it while you're saying what's bothering you. And I would, you would start by saying this pain, this terrible pain, and try and describe the pain as much as you could, what it felt like. Does it have a color? Is it a throbbing? Is it a shape? Is it a stabbing or a spreading kind of pain? Describe the pain as much as you could, and repeat those things while you're tapping, and see what happens. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
again, anything that comes to your mind while you're tapping, any memories, that's important stuff, and you need to stop and think about it. Why did that come up while I was tapping about a headache? So,
Thank you.
Very interesting. Any other comments or questions for Betty Ann?
I really appreciate you all being willing to try tapping out with me today.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
I hope I was giving you enough time to repeat, because I was having a hard time hearing everybody at the same time. There was like a little bit of an echo, so I didn't know if I was jumping in while you were still repeating.
Oh, you did terrific. Do you
were
want
all
to
great.
do you want to comment on if somebody wants to get in touch with you? You
Sure.
want to give them your email address or your phone number or something?
Yes. So my email address is, you can get me at bettyannloria@gmail.com, or my Facebook page has my email on there as well. And it's Mariposa EFT at Tapping for Emotional Freedom. That's the Facebook. And
We have a question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say
We
that I
have
don't
a
have a
question.
website yet.
We have a question from someone that's saying that they feel definitely relaxed while they were meditating and doing the tapping. And they also said that, I guess she has someone that is autistic and it helps them to relax. And she's just curious about people that do that to relax, and yet could it be nerve-wracking to people around them while they're doing it? Or
No.
should they do it privately? Should they do it privately?
Well, it's funny. It's kind of similar to what Amy was saying at work. I would say to do it privately. Yeah. But once again, if there's something that's bothering you in the moment and you really want to take care of it, then I would just tap on one point or tap on my hand or wrist so that people wouldn't be disturbed by it.
Yeah. What about if somebody has a shaking leg?
Oh, like restless leg syndrome? It would be great to tap on for that.
Yeah.
I myself suffer from that sometimes, and I've tapped on it and it's calmed me down. But you're not going to tap your leg. You'll be just saying, even though I have this restless leg syndrome, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then just this restless leg and repeating it as you go around the points, this restless leg syndrome. Why do my legs don't stay still? Just go around.
We also have someone here from the Customers Never Right, the nurse practitioner. She said, not sure how any of this works, but she thinks it's you all are champions. So I just want to let you know, the other report was from Laurie Lepore asking about
Thank you, Laurie Lepore, and thank you,
the nurse practitioner, the Customers Never Right.
Never Right. That's funny. Well, it does work.
Thank you, Customer is Never Right.
Yeah, just quickly, as I said earlier, it works by sending a signal, electromagnetic signal to the brain that whatever it is that's stressing you is not a danger to you, and you can relax about it. That's how it works. And suddenly you are relaxed about it. And
That's awesome.
it lasts. Yeah.
They can watch this later also. We're going to post it anyway, so they'll be able to watch it and hear the beginning of your, your dialogue on what EFT was and how it works. So
And if
people will be able to hear.
Great. And if they go to my Facebook page, I also have a couple of videos on there that explain how it works. And there's tons of information about EFT online as well.
What is your your Facebook page?
It's Mariposa EFT at Tapping for Emotional Freedom.
Okay.
Mariposa is a Spanish word for butterfly, which is a symbol for transformation. So that's why I chose that name.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. Betsy, would you like to just let everybody that's on know what you're all about just in a few minutes?
Sure. I'm a host of Chatting with Betsy at Pastor World Talk Radio, and I have a support group, #Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. If anybody is a caregiver or not, or you just want to be educated on dementias, please join us.
Okay. Betsy, do you think that this tapping would help the caregivers?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I heard about this 2 years ago, but I didn't really follow through, and now I'm going to start doing it every day, several times a day, because I'm still a caregiver to my son who has special needs, and I am overwhelmed with a lot of things. So definitely we'll be doing this several times a day. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you for being here. And I want to thank everyone that has participated. Amy, Laurie, Jeannie, Betsy, and thank you, Betty Ann, and everybody that has joined us. That is just absolutely awesome. Now, I just have a question. Do firefighters go into a fire without a working hose?
No.
Do they all carry hoses with water coming out of it?
Yeah.
Does a police officer expect to have bullets in his gun while he's carrying it and to do his job?
Yeah.
Then why aren't nurses, healthcare workers able to have their protective personal equipment?
That's a good question.
Good one.
I
That's a
often
good one.
wonder.
Yeah.
Money,
Yeah.
Money. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's the bottom line.
bottom line.
If the people don't have a chance to have watched this, they can, it will be on Stop Healthcare Violence Facebook under Heal the Healer. It will also be on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and several others. Thank you, Jeannie White, she writes all the blogs and she posts our show from Passionate World Talk Radio. Until next time, I enjoyed every single one of you, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for watching from Passionate World Talk Radio. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.